Yes, peeps, man, we're back in the damn building, guys. As always, man, make sure you're, of course, smashing the like, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. But let's dive straight into it. You guys already see the thumbnail, you already see the title, the caption. I know many people are, of course, talking about it, and that is Hugo Ekitike. Kind of looks like he's on his way to Liverpool. It looks like Liverpool, Newcastle were ultimately after him, apparently. I think they had a couple of bids rejected from Frankfurt. But it looks like Liverpool have kind of stolen a march here in the race for Hugo Ekitike. Now, obviously, according to Fabrizio, Liverpool have submitted an official bid to Frankfurt. Frankfurt already informed Liverpool that they want more. Proposal rejected, but it was initial contact as talks continue. Ekitike has said yes to Liverpool, no issues on personal terms. He wants to join Liverpool Football Club, man. Listen, this whole saga is just mad. Obviously, you've got Liverpool who want to sign Alexander Isak. That's the number one target. I think it's pretty obvious now. All the journos, all the top journos, bottom journos, ITKs, whoever you want to call them, they've all spoken on it. That is Liverpool's number one target this transfer window. Now, that's Newcastle's number 9. They don't want to sell that number 9 because, of course, that will make them weaker. Even if they were to add any other player, it still makes them weaker and it will make Liverpool stronger. They're obviously trying to tie Alexander Isak down, but ultimately, I think he's got 3 years left on his deal anyway. So, with that, it's kind of like, yeah, we can just keep you. Do you know what I mean? Like people do this, oh, but he's gonna be unhappy. I mean, if he's unprofessional, then yeah, you'll see it in performances and you'll hear about it in training and all this kind of stuff, then fair enough. But of course, I don't think he's like that. Ultimately, Liverpool haven't really gone out there to try and bid for Alexander Isak. I know they've said that, listen, we're willing to pay, a British record, should I say, sorry, for a player. I hear all of that, but ultimately, you haven't put the money down, So at this current moment in time, he stays at Newcastle. Listen, Newcastle then, of course, tried to sign Ekitike, whether it was to mitigate the loss of someone like Alexander Isak, I don't know. Only Newcastle board know what's going on. I can't even say Newcastle fans because as fans, we don't know anything. It's really going to be about what the board trying to do. How do they kind of see it? Everyone's spoken about, their PSR issues and all of this other kind of stuff. So listen, I'm only really here to kind of give you guys my thoughts and opinions behind kind of all of this. But whatever the reason Newcastle did or didn't do, whatever it is they did or didn't do, ultimately, if they keep Isak, I feel that they will be in a better position, so to speak, in terms of if we're just looking at this deal separately, where Liverpool obviously want their player, they're saying no unless we pay, up the wazoo, for him. And even them going for an Ekitike, I mean, even then, it's still kind of like, okay, yeah, but they can go and get someone else. Do you know what I mean? I don't. When it's your backup slash second option of a player, kind of thing, or even just a rotation piece, whatever you want to kind of call him, it's not going to be that deep for them. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like they're not going to be the ones who come out of that stressed, if that makes sense. It will be Liverpool because you're missing out on your first target. You're having to sign your second, I guess, target that you kind of wanted. On top of that, you still need another striker anyway. So now that's all. I don't even know what third, fourth, fifth, sixth kind of choice looks like for Liverpool. Obviously, we spoke about the stopgaps in terms of Nkunku's or the Matetas and stuff like that. Decent players, of course, within their own right, but it's still a little bit like okay, you know what I mean. Whereas there's no way to spin it that Alexander Isak is just Alexander Isak. You know what I mean? So whether you've just got him or him and someone else, it really doesn't matter. He's Alexander Isak. So when we're looking at it just in terms of the deal in itself, who walks away from this feeling happier, it's going to be Newcastle. That's simple. We'd be in the same position if it was one of our top players and they decided to stay and the other team got like a sloppy second. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? After that point, we've kept this guy, and this guy is the one that everybody wants, but not many people can afford. Not saying Liverpool can't afford it, by the way, but it's a very small circle of individuals who would want to sign Alexander Isak for the money it's going to take. Now, of course, could wait until next year. Might be a gentleman's agreement. Who knows? Like this saga is not even over. For all I know, Liverpool go back in for Alexander Isak after signing Ekitike. Maybe we don't even sign Hugo Ekitike. Maybe this is just one of those where if we can pull the trigger and we get one of them regardless, but we've got everything already set up and it's done and dusted, and then we can kind of keep it moving. Like I said, it's like a game of chess at this current moment in time. Right now, I would say Newcastle, I would say, are maybe just a little bit ahead of Liverpool in that regards when you're looking at it just in terms of this deal, not every other deal that Liverpool have done and stuff like that. So yeah, man, we'd have to, of course, wait until the end of the window to be able to kind of find out what's going to happen with that. But yeah, at this current moment in time, Liverpool had obviously submitted an official bid to Frankfurt. That's been rejected. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of numbers are being banded about and what the final number would actually be for someone like Hugo Ekitike. Now, onto the player himself. Listen, I've already done a video on Ekitike before. I think I've done a couple actually. So make sure you guys go and check out those videos. That there you'll get like a proper analysis or in-depth analysis and breakdown, tactical breakdown and stuff like that in terms of the system that he's obviously been playing with at Frankfurt, his own style of play, how that's obviously worked since being in France, then moving, to Germany, and then of course having the season that he's currently, or the season that he's just had, which is the 24-25, obviously 48 games, 22 goals, 12 assists, good season. Good season. No complaints. When I see that, I'm like, this looks like a decent striker. Like, if I didn't know who it was and you just told me to look at it, I'd be like, yeah, this looks decent. Do you know what I mean? 22 goals in all competitions straight away. That I like that. You know what I mean? You know me, I'm not really an assist, but I don't really care about the assist too tough. But if you've got them, I'm not taking them away from you, of course. So to also get 12 assists, again, absolutely fine. I look at that and I think, pretty decent from a guy who plays that kind of center forward. Like it's a second striker, but it's just one of those kind of things. But even when we're looking at like his positioning, again, he's someone who can drop deep, link up plays pretty good. He's good at dribbling. He looks like he does like to isolate the fullbacks at times when he does get on those in those wing areas. He does seem like a player that when he does get out there, he really wants to try and take on his man, which is always going to be seen as a good thing. Of course, it is not a negative. Loves to pull out to that far left. You can kind of see it, to be honest. But I mean, I say that, but I mean, even still, he kind of operates everywhere, and this might just be exactly what someone like Arne Slot is actually looking for when he's thinking about a player and stuff like that. So again, it's listen, nothing I'm looking at right now. The the stats, and you guys can check this out all on SofaScore or whatever it is that people use these days. But the stats, even for someone like Hugo Ekitike, are decent. I think he's a decent player. I think he's when I think about him in general, I'm like, yeah, he's definitely someone who, look, let's take a look obviously at his previous seasons that he's had, right? So the 23-24 season, 17 games, only 4 goals. When we're kind of looking at that, I'm like, okay, fairs. Season before that, 32 games, 4 goals. And then obviously, I think this is the season that he had with Reeves before he joined PSG, 11 goals, 27 games, scoring goals in League R, got himself into double figures into League R. But yeah, since then, it's kind of been a little bit like, okay, everything's not necessarily, I wouldn't say like a standstill or anything like that. But, when you look at something, you're kind of like, oh, okay, we're not really improving. I don't know if that's necessarily the right word that I want to use here, but I'm going to say improving just for the kind of sake of argument. But it's again not to say that he's not a decent player. He's not a player who has hasn't refined his game and stuff like that. And of course, things come into play, tactics, managers, and teams that you join and systems. Obviously, he was at Frankfurt. We know that Marmoush was the Don Dada in that team. He was more the kind of he was the Robin to his Batman. Do you know what I mean? It was really in that Batman and Robin, and Marmoush was Batman, in this kind of scenario. And again, that's not to throw shade on someone like an Ekitike, whatsoever, because again, he's still doing his thing, and I still respect exactly what he is doing and what he is trying to do. But ultimately, yeah, it's just one of those kind of things, man. So obviously when we're kind of looking, at the comparisons and stuff like that, and then listen, these comparisons are always going to come up regardless. It's going to be the whole Nunes Haaland thing, all over again. Obviously, Scorecard already put out their own, comparison with, Darwin Nunes of Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, Nunes is Nunes. We know that, Liverpool as a club, we want to get rid of him anyway. So is it an upgrade on Darwin Nunes? Yes. Is it the right upgrade? Obviously, that remains to be seen. I can't really judge it right now. Is it the upgrade I would have wanted? No. The upgrade I would have wanted is, of course, with Alexander Isak. Again, you guys can check out the kind of stats and stuff like that. I'm not really here, if I'm being totally honest with you, for all of that kind of stuff. Like I said, he's a decent player, no matter what. He is a decent player. Um, I don't know if he's going to improve the side. I'm not that confident because ultimately, I'm like, if you were going to go and get it's because everyone says like he's like a baby Isak and all this kind of. I'm like, yeah, that's calm. Why didn't you just get the Isak instead of getting a reborn version of that player? Do you know what I mean? Now, of course, if you can't get that player, then that's different. You need to then pivot. Sometimes I'm like, if you need to pivot and you still kind of want that, surely you can just go back in for it later. I don't know. Again, I don't know. Who am I to really judge? I know everybody at Liverpool Football Club, all the fans, were dying for a striker. So I'll be honest. I don't know if everyone's kind of head is really screwed on when we're talking about strikers and what type of striker would be good or bad and etc. Because everybody wants a striker, and really and truly the striker market is kind of dead when you think about it. Gyökeres looks like he's going to Arsenal anyway. Isak is obviously still at Newcastle, and they don't necessarily want to let him go. Can't get Haaland, can't get Kane right now. So you're kind of like, all right, maybe like a Girassi and stuff like that. I'm not saying, and he's, in my opinion, Girassi is better than Ekitike. Do you know what I mean? So the pool of strikers, Lewandowski, Mbappe, all of these guys, the pool isn't massive in terms of availability. So I get it when people are trying to find the positives within that, because he himself, Ekitike, is a decent player. There's nothing against him in general, but yeah, I love my doubts, and always it's not like like with Florian Wirtz, I don't have doubts. I'm just more like I just wonder if you're going to meet my own expectations, but I don't have doubts that you can, do really really well, kind of thing, at Liverpool. Whereas with him, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I'm like me, I've reached a point now with Liverpool. I'm like, I just need you to either go and get the bagsman, or like the guy you think is the real gunman, or just play a different system that requires like a false nine or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Again, who knows? We might still get an Isak or whatever. I don't know. I really don't know. I can only go based off of this news that I'm obviously giving you guys now, and you guys have obviously seen throughout the day. But yeah, it's just an interesting one. It's just an interesting one with Hugo Ekitike. I know a lot of people are going to sit here and do the whole, yeah, I spoke about him 3 years ago. The fairs, if you did, then boy, you clearly can see, you can see into the future. You know what I mean? Because at this current moment in time, he's had one good season in Europe. Actually, I'll give him two. Actually, I'll give him two. I'll give him the year that he got 10 goals before he moved to PSG. Right? I'll give him that year, and then I'll give him this last season just gone. But he's had a 2-year gap in between there where hasn't really gone that great in terms of his goals and stuff like that. Maybe he's developed more as a player, you could probably say, getting older, France Youth International as well. So there's pros and cons, man. There's pros and cons. Like I said, it's just one of them. Like, you sometimes you just laugh, and I always hear people like the way that some people talk about certain players and stuff like that. And sometimes I feel like people don't feel like it's like you're not allowed to be a bit annoyed, or it's like, oh yeah, you've just got to just kind of just, it is what it is. And I'm like, yeah, it is that. But on as well as that, to add to that, it's also, yeah, like Liverpool should have just tried to do everything they possibly can to get Alexander Isak, man. Do you know what I mean? If not him, then like I said, I just think the pool of strikers that we're choosing from, I'm like, did it even matter? Like Sesko, Ekitike, like what's the massive difference? Like, it obviously style of plays are going to be different, but in terms of the player themselves, I'll keep it a buck. I don't really care. Like we're not talking about Messi and Ronaldo kind of thing. Like we're literally talking about guys who are like still working their way through football and still trying to get to that kind of pinnacle of football in itself. So listen, hopefully if he comes in, he does his thing, gets his goals, helps the team to win, blah blah blah. We're sitting here, great, fantastic. But yeah, let's wait and see on it, man. Let's wait and see on it. But I'm just tired of listening to bare people just in my ear, because 9 months ago, I know majority of you didn't know who he was. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking at it thinking, okay. So all of a sudden he's just the guy now. Like, you know what I mean? It's a lot of money to spend on someone who you're not even really that confident about. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But again, listen, who am I? I'm just a fan. I'm just giving you my thoughts and opinions. Let me know yours in the comment section. I'd love to know how people feel about this whole Ekitike news. Are you feeling it? Did you want him in the first place? Kind of thing. Who are your, I don't know, give me your 5 strikers that you would have potentially have signed in this window. And then, yeah, we can compare it, man. We can compare it. But yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. Make sure you drop your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll see you later.